Hi, my name is Jaideep Mehta and I work for a firm called International Data Corporation, better known as IDC. IDC is the premier research firm in the world covering all areas of information technology, right from researching the markets all the way to the application of these technologies into end user organizations. And we look at the latest trends, the emergence of new technologies, and the impact that they are having on various sectors, including government, finance, and several other important industries. The firm is 55 years old, and I'm very proud to lead the team for the India and South Asia region. Okay. Well, I'll cover two or three themes here. I think the most important theme is one of clarity. And what I mean by that, for example, is the whole vexed retrospective taxation issue. So even as the government insists that there will be no more retrospective tax, Vodafone and other companies get demands from the taxman and so on. So I think once and for all, we should lay ghosts like that to rest in this budget, so that the decks are cleared for the investors to make their plans, to bring in much needed investment into India from overseas and help us to drive economic growth and prosperity. So the second thing on the same vector would be around the whole issue of corporation tax. If you recall, last year the finance minister talked about removing exemptions but lowering the tax rate to 25% for corporations and really simplifying the whole regime. I think the time has now come to convert that to a roadmap and to really allow organizations to understand what are the things they should be doing, where the exemptions will go, and how, and prepare for and kind of get their accounts ready for the 25% tax regime. So that's the second thing. And the third thing would be that the country really desperately needs a boost from an infrastructure perspective. And while the government has several schemes ongoing, I think there's still room for more headroom in terms of creating tax incentives, more attractive guaranteed returns, and so on, to boost investment in the infrastructure sectors. At the end of the day, sustainable economic growth at 8, 9, 10%, which is what we all aspire to and what we desperately need, will only come when the infrastructure sectors turn around and start to grow again. And right now they are not. So that's two or three things on the corporate side, and there are several others. But equally on the individual side, especially for the taxpayer, no country in history has ever become a developed nation if the population has not been healthy. And the social indicators for India in the global indices are absolutely terrible. I mean, we typically rank with the likes of, in fact, even Bangladesh is ahead of us with sub-Saharan Africa and other places. And it's a real disaster at the moment. So while the government really needs to pump up the allocations to health and indeed to education as a parallel, what I would also like to see is for the finance minister, I beg your pardon, to actually create some allocations and some schemes to encourage people to get private health coverage, so that, God forbid, if they fall ill, at least they have the ability to go to the best hospital rather than the public hospitals being the only choice that they have. I'd also like him to see him up the investment when it comes to the health sector, and most certainly I would like to see more spending happening in the education space, both in the K-12 or the schooling space, but also equally on the higher education space. We have too many supply constraints, and especially when it comes to quality education, we desperately need to see an increase in capacity so that we have top quality training for our millions of youth, and they become a viable and vibrant workforce. So these are two or three things which I'd certainly love to see, and let's hope for a big bang budget. We really need the reforms to accelerate, to be able to drive economic growth through 2016-17. And this year, unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to have the oil price cushion anymore, with the OPEC countries now coming together. So we need to be prepared for that shock as well. Thank you.